guys' favorite part? Cashews?
Yeah, the cashews.
Have not heard that at all. Anybody else?
Fireworks.
Okay.
Fireworks.
The ice cream was good.
Yoga.
That's great. For me, I love seeing so many people just at the Blueberry Donuts, just because there was like so many people. And although I didn't get it at all, just because I didn't want to wait that long. Who wants to wait 2-3 hours for like a dozen donuts? Maybe it's just like a pudding thing. So. And I guess some people do. But I'm gonna like. So Rich had said that it was like an experience eating those donuts, and even Tyler and yeah, you guys say too. I just want to show you guys what it would be like to eat one of those donuts, just because Rich had said it was one of those experiences. But yeah, that's it. It was supposed to be longer, but it's okay. Anyways, yeah, that's because so many people talk about it, and I think because Rich and a lot of people say it, because of the experience, I think that's why it's so hyped up. And although I didn't eat the donut at all, what I did experience was the festival itself, and it was honestly pretty cool. There were so many people that said how many people go to the festival, and just shout it out. How many people do you think go to that festival?
500,000.
I saw like 7 people I knew there.
Somebody had said it. It's 500,000 people.
I said it. 500,000.
How many people go to that festival? I never would have guessed. Being how like small Plymouth is, you would think it'd be like what, 30,000? No, 500,000 people. That's literally ridiculous to me. But as many people talk about the Blueberry Donuts or the Blueberry Festival, it got me thinking, and I think the same way we're as comfortable about talking those things that we love and experience, I think we can talk the same way about talking about God. And what I love about that topic is how easy talking about God can really be. We're in a series called Habits, and this series is all about connecting with God, or spending quality time with God, however that may look like, listening to God, and how the power of listening to God helps you get to know Him better, talking to God, or praying to God to develop that relationship, or talking about God. And that's where we'll be at today. Rich, can you come up here real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to show you guys how it looks like, or how I would imagine to look like if someone were to talk about God, or you guys would think.
Right, because we all think talking about God is like different, like we all have different impressions about like what talking about God is like.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So just the setting, me and Rich are in high school, so the year's like 1855 or something. We're in high school, we just got out of school.
What's up, fellow cool kids?
We're just kind of playing video games and hanging out.
Yeah.
So, hey, did you hear that we don't have a test tomorrow?
We don't have a test tomorrow. That's great. I didn't study, thank God.
Speaking of God, what do you think about God?
Did you really just do that? Like,
Yeah,
we were
I
talking
just
about
did.
tests and we're playing Call of Duty, and you literally just asked me what I think about God?
Yeah, I did.
I don't know if I think about God. I don't even know if I believe in God. Why, do you?
Nerd.
So this is how it would be. Like, you'd be like, oh my God. Talking about God. What? Who is God? But yeah, that's basically how it. Thank you, Rich. Everybody give Rich a round of applause. But people have that misconception about sharing your faith, and you need to know everything about the Bible and how. I mean, that could be farther from the truth. I mean, sharing your faith, it's pretty nerve-wracking, and I get it because I was there with you. It's not about what you know, it's what Jesus did for you. You're not having a debate with that person, you're just having a conversation, just like me and Rich were having. It would be a lot longer and a little bit more natural, but yeah. I remember at Word of Life, the school I attended before Moody, we were required to evangelize in New York City. And we just had to go to random strangers and literally just talk about God. And I was so nervous. And I was so uncomfortable just because I didn't really know too much about my faith at the time. And I just feel like I didn't know enough. I remember the first person I walked to was a Muslim. And she was with her daughter, and it was at a train station, and my heart was beating, my hands were sweating, like I was shaking, and I gave her a tract, which is basically like a gospel message in like a little piece of paper. I gave it to her. She literally looked at it, looked at me, just walked away. I felt like I felt horrible. I felt bad just because I thought I just wanted to share God with her, and I knew it would help her and stuff like that. For her to just walk away, it just made me feel kind of bad. But as soon as she walked away, I remembered something that was really important, and it was something that I learned before even going to New York City. And it was this. It was your testimony is one of the most powerful tools that you have to talk about God. The people are not just rejecting you, they're rejecting Jesus. The reason why your testimony is so powerful is, I think, of two reasons. One, it's personal experience. And this is just how God worked in your life, how he has changed you. And hopefully from that, they'll be more open to receive the hope that you have, which is in Jesus. The second is, I think, is the power in a shared story. We get to share a story that helps relate to people and share spiritual truth. I think when it comes down to it, the idea of talking about God or our faith or our relationship with God makes us at least a little bit nervous. Just because we immediately have questions like, what if we don't know what to say? When we have a conversation with somebody, especially who isn't familiar with what it means to follow God, and the subject of faith comes up, it's hard to know what to say. And how do we make it like a natural part of the conversation and not make it like completely awkward? A second question we could ask is, what if we just sound stupid? What if someone asks us what we believe about a controversial subject? What if we fumble our way through an explanation of our viewpoint? Which has happened to me like plenty of times. But the bottom line is, nobody wants to feel dumb or make a fool out of themselves. A third question that could be asked is, what if we don't know enough about what we believe? For some of us, we realize that our beliefs are prone to change. If that's the case, how can we be secure enough to talk about them right now where we're at? For some of us, we may not even be sure what we believe. In fact, some of us may even be thinking, do you think we should even talk about our faith? Like, I'm not even sure if I have any. If that's you, don't sweat it. You're still in the right place. The fourth question, is, what if we offend somebody? It's no secret that faith can be a heated subject. Any search on a controversial religious topic reveals just how angry people can get. What if someone disagrees with you, or what if you disagree with them? The idea of us admitting that we're Jesus followers can cause some fear, insecurities, because we don't really want to find ourselves in a heated argument. The idea in our heads that we have the ideas in our head have the power to create our reality. Meaning, we can spend so much time being afraid of offending someone. When it comes down to it, we're probably going to still offend them. And when it comes to talking about God, the last thing we want to do is prepare for failure. So what do we do about that? Well, let's talk about it. If someone give you water, please, that'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
Behind you. No, on the table behind you.
On the table.
Down.
Thank you so much, sir. But yeah, let's talk about it. There was a guy named Peter who was one of Jesus' followers and closest friends. He wrote a couple of letters to some of the earliest Jesus followers in different parts of the Roman Empire. While it's tempting for us believers now to think talking about God is tricky in modern times, the truth is that these ancient Christians experienced it firsthand. Jesus changed the way everybody saw God. So this was all new information for them. They also lived in the Roman Empire, which was the same empire that crucified Jesus and destroyed the Jewish empire, the Jewish temple. So saying the wrong thing around these type of people could probably get them killed. So within this context, Peter is writing to Christians who are under the threat of persecution, who are being thrown in prison, killed because they're following Jesus. And Peter tells the people that they don't have to be afraid of suffering for Jesus' sake, but instead to be confident about their faith. And Peter addressed talking about God in this way in 1 Peter 3:15. It's going to be on the screen. But in your hearts, honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason that for the hope that is in you. Yet do it with gentleness and respect. Let's unpack that too. As Jesus followers, Peter says we should be able to talk about why we follow Jesus. He says, always be prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for the reason that is hope that is in you. When it came to conversations about big stuff, Peter had learned that it matters to be prepared. So that's what he's telling the people that he wrote to. He told them to be prepared. One may ask, how do we even get prepared? Well, we practice. Peter is challenging us to practice talking about God. When Peter says, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone, he's not saying you have to become a preacher, a speaker, know 100% of the Bible, or even explain difficult topics. Instead, he's telling us we should be prepared to give an answer for the hope that is in you. What is the hope that Peter's even talking about? Well, we are saved from sin when we place our faith and trust in Jesus. We receive forgiveness from sin because of Jesus' sacrifice. And Jesus gives us new life, and he restores our relationship with God. Peter is referring to what he did in situations where people questioned his reasoning for following Jesus. He shared his story and his understanding of Jesus. Peter wasn't this intellectual giant who knew everything about the Bible and was good at preaching. He just had his story. In Acts 4, 1 through 12, we see Peter getting arrested by the leaders of the temple and the Sadducees because he was preaching to them. And then the next day, when he gets released, dude goes back to the high priest family and goes off on them regarding the truth about speaking about Jesus, and how the high priest crucified Jesus, and how Jesus is the only way to get unto heaven. The reason why I highlighted that part is because it does seem like Jesus knows a lot about the Bible. But notice in the next verse how they describe Peter. It says, now when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were uneducated, common men, they were astonished. And they recognized that they had been with Jesus. You guys catch that? Peter was just an ordinary man, just like all of us. He didn't ask everyone to become experts, preachers, or speakers. He told them what he was telling you and me. Just be you. Spend time with Jesus, spend time in his word, spend time praying, then share the hope that is in you. Share your experience with God, or your experiences with God. We already know how to talk about things that we love and that we experience, but there's something about talking about God that makes it different. But what if talking about God wasn't intended to be more awkward or frightening than talking about other things? What if it was supposed to be a normal part of following Jesus? When you share about your experiences with God, it gives others hope. It lets them know that God is real to you, that he is working in your life, that he's not distant, and that he doesn't just show up in the lives of Christians who seem like they have it all together. So when we share about our faith and how much we love God, it lets others know that God loves us and he wants a relationship with them. So the bottom line is, talking about God helps to know him better. So Peter concludes with this, yet do it with gentleness and respect. When you think about how conversations usually go when it comes to religion and faith, gentleness and respect usually are the words that are described when talking about God. So on the screen up above, this is what it looks like when people think about talking about God. It's like the burner turn, but the ranch part has nothing to do with the picture. I just liked it. I thought it was funny.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. But yeah, God doesn't call us to condemn people, but calls us to talk about faith with gentleness and respect. So just share your story in a gentle and respectful way. But one may even ask, how do you even talk about your faith in a gentle and respectful way? Well, you don't talk about it just to start an argument. You don't talk about it to shame or judge somebody. You don't talk about it because you're convicted that you're right and that everybody else is wrong. No. One more question that we have to ask is this. How can we even get started by talking about God? Well, I think there's 3 ways we can start doing that. One, and this may seem pretty obvious, but just think about it. Just think about your story. You don't have to have all the answers. Just think about your coming to faith moment and how God gave you that hope that Peter says to be prepared to answer for. The second, like I said before, is practice what you'll say. See if it makes sense and even write it if you don't really want to remember it. Then that way, when you're nervous, because you've written it, you won't be as nervous to talk about your faith. Third is to just share your story. To help, if you don't know where to start, try this formula. So it would be as, I was blank, but God blank, and now blank. And to just explain it a little more, think about what was happening in your life before you invited God to be a part of your daily choices. It can sound like I was tempted to lie about my actions, or I was insecure about my appearance. Then think about what God did for you, and then fill in the but God. It could sound like, but God gave me hope through Jesus Christ, who gave me a new identity, and gave me a new purpose. And then fill in the and now with something like, and now I live with a new hope, or I have the power to overcome temptation, or any of the way Jesus is working in your life. You don't have to share your experiences like everything sounds perfect. Just tell your story. Just try and be as vulnerable as possible. If it has twists and turns, it's okay, because we all have twists and turns in our story that makes it unique. So it doesn't have to sound happy. Just make it sound real. Small groups is a great place to talk about all of this, to talk about your testimony, and how Jesus is working in your life. And it's a place where you can, like I said, talk about your faith, relate to others, and talk about what you believe, any doubts, things like that. It's a place where we can all follow Jesus together, because this isn't just for you guys, it's for me as well. Remember, you guys don't have to know everything, just to share something. And if you're still unsure about your faith, we want to help you grow in confidence. Dare to Share Live is coming up again this fall on November 13th. And we'll be hosting an event like last year. And Dare to Share Live is a great way to grow your faith and grow some gospel sharing skills. We'll have more information about how to sign up in the future. And this year, we'll have new content, new messages, and it'll still be the same fun and worship like last year. We're really excited to host that event and be with you guys, and we hope to see you there. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to give me to just have this message to all the Dive students. I pray that they can receive it with open hearts, Lord, and I pray that I had said something that just sparked something in their heart to apply it and be more like you, Jesus. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.